Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Nexus Gaming Series. I am Jason, and today we've got a heck of a matchup for you here, coming out of the Division B West division. I'm going to actually fix that figure here on my screen real quick. There we go. Division B West, we've got Spooky Ghosts versus Assistant Noob Manager. So early in the season, this is already going to be the second time that we are seeing assistant noob manager do their thing. And even more than that, this is more than the second time that I've had Rabid Penguin here by my side. My new co-caster extraordinaire this season. You've been doing a great job, and I'm glad to have you back, buddy.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right, well, it's a Sunday night. It's the end of week one. We've seen a lot of action already, but still so early in the season, so much potential. We've got two squads here that I'm really looking forward to seeing how they play against each other tonight. Spooky Ghosts is a very veteran team here in NGS. They've been around a while, and I always love their signature chat before we head into the Nexus every time. The ghost dancing around in the chat room, but and then assistant noob manager who just a few nights ago here on this stream had a domination and a very strong performance and a strong showing. So I feel like we've got like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object tonight.
Yeah, should be a pretty good matchup, I think.
All right, well, let's go over the map selections here real quick. We did have Spooky Ghosts winning the coin toss, and I'm going to let him know that Rabid is co-caster. So I'm sure you wouldn't mind playing on Assistant Noob Manager tonight.
I could. They might mind, though.
They're getting a draft up from the C West division. You've been called up to the majors, Rabid.
Yep. Noob for them to manage, for sure.
And we did make a joke a couple nights ago about where to sign up to be managed by the assistant noob managers. So here you go. This is our opportunity.
Yeah, this is the alternative strategies. We just cast them enough times, and eventually they'll screw up and just put us in the game with them.
They need that extra person to jump in with them. Let's see. It looks to me like we're still missing one here, but like I said, we did have Spooky Ghosts winning the coin toss. They elected to have first pick, and then over for assistant noob manager, they banned out Tomb of the Spider Queen, Infernal Shrines, Spooky Ghosts banning out Sky Temple and Cursed Hollow, and assistant noob manager going to take us to Garden of Terror for game number one. So Garden of Terror, I believe this might be, if I'm not mistaken, the first time we're seeing this map so far in these games that we've been casting this week, Rabid.
I think one of the other assistant noob manager games might have been on Garden of Terror. Or am I thinking of... No, it was. It was on Garden of Terror, so... It'll be the second time we see the same team on the same map. So
there we go.
Maybe we'll have a heads up on the draft that they want to run, or maybe they're thinking of an alternative strategy since they have a new opponent this time.
Well, we've got some tools in our belt that we can actually take a look at some of these things and don't have to rely completely on memory. Let's see. That's right. So they did get the 2-0 on Thursday night. This was actually, I believe, was this our first cast together, Rabbit?
Might have been.
Season? But either way, yeah, assistant noob manager getting the 2-0 over TRSG. And yeah, let's take a look at this match just for funsies. Gotta love the NGS website and how many tools we have to take a look at the replay info here.
Yep, Hero's profile makes it pretty easy to just scrolling through the previous games and
Oh, and look at that nice little VOD link. Let's see, where is this going to lead us? Oh, look, it's to Jason Hot's YouTube channel. Here, you know what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to... See, let's get back over to the Twitch chat. Exclamation point, YouTube. See, there you go, everybody. Feel free to click that link. Go take a look at some more NGS action in your free time. Not right now, obviously, because we've got a big match coming up right here. But, you know, later. Hit that subscribe button and take a look.
we're getting some R's in the game lobby. It looks like our 10th player has joined.
There we go. Does that mean I can finally stop trying to fill the airtime?
If you like, I mean, certainly by all means. Continue.
I'm doing my best, man. I'm trying. So yeah, it looks like Game 1 was on Towers of Doom, and Game 2, you're right, was on Garden of Terror, so there you go. Mind like a steel trap, that rabid penguin. Oh, there's all the spooky ghosts in the chat. I don't normally do this, but just for funsies, I'm going to give you guys a look at it beforehand. You can see all the spooky ghosts sitting around in the chat beforehand. Always fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into game number 1 here, Garden of Terror. Now, Rabbit, what do you usually like to focus on this map? What are the big priorities when you're drafting for Garden of Terror?
Well, it's a pretty big map, so being able to clear the lanes relatively quickly and then move on to do something else is helpful. So heroes that can wave clear are certainly ideal. Beyond that, though, the something else is typically the camps. So when you're not clearing waves, looking at your multiple siege camps, the bruiser camp, heroes that can knock those out quickly, like Hogger, get a lot of value on this map. So compositions that have bruisers, sometimes even 2 bruisers, or just heroes with good wave clear in general, I think are something that you frequently see on this map.
Yeah, Akhtar's got it right. Spooky Ghosts being ready is one of the simple pleasures of casting, and it's very true. So right away, Zeratul going to be the initial ban out, so it seems like the side of Spooky Ghosts have been doing a little bit of scouting, and are going to go ahead and take the Nerazim off the board here. As I almost wonder if that's to protect someone. Does that maybe foreshadow something that's a little squishy in the back line that Spooky Ghosts don't want to have to worry about being sniped back there?
That could be. It's possible they also watched the cast last week and just decided that's not something that they're interested in having to deal with, which is fair. Sylvanas is also a strong hero on this map. Again, if you're pushing the lanes, the other team maybe isn't responding as quickly as they should. Sylvanas can get a lot of value in shutting down towers and forts and helping your team kind of snowball some of those smaller advantages around the map.
Yeah, you might even say that Spooky Ghosts has just a slight advantage in this matchup, just simply because they've already seen, they've already had the opportunity at least to see Assistant Newb Manager doing their thing here on Garden of Terror already. So the Varian ban out coming out here, strong frontliner and good ability to lock them down and focus somebody. The final ban now coming out for Assistant Newb Manager, as they're going to take Johanna out of the equation. No big surprise there. Strongest tank in the game, arguably strongest hero in the game right now. So that second team almost always has to ban them at some point.
Yeah, she does get a fair amount of value on the map. Again, being able to clear those lanes as quickly as possible, to be able to either rotate into the objectives or the camps helps a lot, and having that on your tank kind of frees up some other draft space, in addition to just her being generally strong right now.
Meanwhile, here's Eric with a K going ahead and grabbing that Blaze to get things started. Good wave clear on this map, and doesn't really show whether that's going to be the main tank or the off lane pick just yet. Meanwhile, look at the double global coming out right away here from Assistant Newb Manager. They want to be all around this map.
Yep, the globals definitely give a lot of value into the macro play as well. So the last time we saw them on this map, they tended to draft a little lighter on the macro and then more into a team fight heavy comp, and it looks like they're kind of shifting up their strategy this time, either in response to the bans or maybe just looking to play something a little different that their opponents aren't expecting.
Meanwhile, the side of Spooky Ghosts wanted to make sure they got in at least one of those global heroes before the next ban phase comes out, so they'll go ahead and grab Brightwing. And, while we're at it, Rabid, depending on the build you go, Junkrat can be kind of a pseudo-global past a certain point.
You definitely can rotate really quickly. Once you have the level 13 talent, you can kind of zip around the map as you please, and his wave clear is definitely up there in terms of backline assassins.
Yeah, Garden of Terror, where wave clear is a prime real estate here, and Junkrat. Nobody does it quite as well as Junkrat. Not only that, but he can also displace a lot of these camps when they're pushing in. A lot of people don't think of that value, but the few heroes in the game that are able to push a pair of siege giants into the towers so they can start hitting them can really pay dividends later in the game. Meanwhile, we do have Spooky Ghosts going ahead and banning out the Anduin, trying to put a little bit of a healer chokehold here.
Yeah, it does still leave up Rhaegar, who does get a lot of value in being able to help quickly take some of the camps and clear the waves. So we'll see if they opt for that or maybe one of the other less frequently drafted supports, I would say. Lucio certainly a great option though. I think gets a lot of value on this map and is a good pairing with the Diablo as well.
Yeah, not surprised to see the Diablo coming out after a Tychus ban coming out from Assistant Newb Manager, so trying to deny them that percentage-based damage for the giant health pool that Uncle Ye gonna be holding on to. Or
Unicycle Ye.
Unicycle Ye, my bad. I gotta get my eyes checked here.
It was close. We just, skip over a couple letters and it's exactly what you said. So
just drop a few. It's fine. We are going to see Greymane and Muradin coming out here, and that's going to complete the draft for Spooky Ghosts. Do you think they have enough wave clear, Rabid?
I think so. They have a lot in Blaze and Junkrat. Greymane's is fairly decent as well, so I think they'll do pretty well with that. And then Greymane being able to quickly take most any camp on the map, I think will help out quite a bit as well.
Here comes that Zagara. This is not the first time we're going to see Pink Blackout Zagara, if I do remember correctly, which I haven't so far tonight, but I'm pretty sure on this one, Rabid.
That's fair. Yeah, we did see the Zagara before. On this map, I'm expecting it to kind of fall alongside the Falstad and the Dahaka in terms of making up another global presence and being able to move around the map quickly, putting pressure on the Spooky Ghosts to quickly rotate and respond to kind of what they're doing with the macro plays.
Yeah, and there are a few options for clearing the creep on the side of Spooky Ghosts, but still, I really like that ability to get the vision around the map. And this could be either heroic, but I think on a map like this where you constantly want to be rotating around, getting wave clear, getting camps, that Nidus network can really be valuable. But they already do have 2 heroics, so you don't really need it, but they could just really go macro heavy in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. That appears to be their primary strategy, and instead of trying to do a little bit of everything, I think it always makes sense to lean hard on what your strengths are. So if they've got a plan to kind of play this macro comp well, I think having a third option to push another lane where Dahaka and Falstad are not is a good approach to this map in particular, just given how large it is.
All right, well, let's get on into game number 1 here on Garden of Terror. On the left, we've got the Spooky Ghosts. We've got Kalidus going to be playing that Greymane. Rogoth going to be on the Muradin. Rift on the Junkrat. Little Wolf on the Brightwing. And up top, we've got Eric with a K on the Blaze.
And the assistant Newb managers are heading straight to top lane. Simeon on the Lucio, Unicycle Ye on the Diablo, Pink Blackout on the Zagara, Nor on Falstad, and Shrinks on Dahaka.
And right away, assistant Newb manager trying to get away with a little bit of cheekiness, a little bit of cheese in the top lane. Spicy cheddar. They get the top tower from that push, and they're actually still hanging around. Dahaka burrowed down, and not a full response from Spooky Ghost. In fact, they're choosing to go ahead and push mid, so Assistant Noob Manager says, we'll take that bet. Why not? We'll just stay right up here.
Yeah, I do like that response from Spooky Ghost. You know, they have Greymane, who is certainly able to push structures quite well himself, and so they're saying, you know, we're not going to waste time rotating our whole team up there. We'll just take your wall mid if nobody's going to come defend it.
I like that call, too. The Global, quick to respond, though, so both towers have gone down in both of these focus lanes, but the gate also grabbed by Assistant Noob Manager in the top. Meanwhile, now both teams going to start rotating out to camps, which really is a main focus on this map. There are so many camps, no bosses, but 6 camps that are constantly, usually on rotation here on this map.
Yeah, I think Spooky Ghosts definitely have the advantage there with the Greymane being able to quickly clear these out. Certainly there are a number of heroes on Noob Management's side who can clear the camps, but I think it'll take them significantly longer. So we'll see how that kind of adds up over the course of the game.
By the way, Rabbit, I don't know that I've mentioned this before, but there's nothing better than being the observer. Not to mention the caster, but mainly the observer on Garden of Terror, you know, because there's so few things going on at once on this map at any given time.
Right, easiest job in the world.
Right.
You barely even have to show up for work.
Wasn't supposed to go into work till Monday, Rabbit. What is this? Never mind.
But yeah, we do see a pretty clear camp advantage for the side of Spooky Ghosts. Noob Management still working on that top bruiser camp, and it's going to take them a little while to clear that out. They may be foregoing the objective then, just kind of given the positioning and their map position as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you always have to think about on this map is, you know, how much do you really want to fight over one of these seeds when it's so clearly on the other side of the map for the enemy team, where they've got quicker access to get to safety, they've got quicker access to get back to do their taps, and, you know, how strong is your team early? You know, Diablo is a really big scaling hero, and the side of Assistant Noob Manager, they have big-time macro global presence. Meanwhile, down bot, they are looking for a gank here on Shrinks. Very patient with that Storm Bolt into the poly, but Shrinks does manage to make it out. He'll get the tap, and for now, we are still 0-0 on that kill counter.
Yeah, it does give them some opportunity to push this wall, but it looks like Noob Management is going to respond with a rotation from the Lucio Diablo.
Yeah, Uncle Ye trying to grab Colitis, but he's going to wolf his way out of that problem. He wolfed his way in, Rabbit, and he wolfed his way out.
The Greymane life.
Hashtag Darkflight. Let's go.
It does look like New Management is going to be fighting for this objective, though, which is a little bit more centrally located. Dahaka still hanging out bottom, along with the Brightwing, so 2 globals that can come in. You see the Brightwing channel now, though. Diablo eats the Polymorph. Is able to get out. Nicely done.
I'm pretty sure Diablo just took every single piece of CC that Spooky Ghost had and walked away with 150 health. Very, very strong showing there from Unicycle Yay. And there's the charge. So they are able to turn after all of those resources were spent by Spooky Ghosts. And they will get first blood for the side of Assistant Noob Manager, along with this second seed to bring us to a 1-1 tie on the counter.
Yeah, that was some good patience on the part of just, you know, letting Diablo get out of the fight, heal up a little bit, and then re-engaging afterwards to find the pick on the Murd.
Well, Uncle Ye rotating down. It looked like they might have been looking for Junkrat, but instead they're just going to play this patient, you know, with the vision granted by that trap and the constant ability to concussion mine out of pretty much anything. You probably weren't going to get that Junkrat, even if you did rotate through around that little mobile trap.
Yeah, despite his low health pool, he's probably one of the safer backline assassins, just given the scouting that you can do with those traps. The mine, and then the displacement and the CC from that as well can buy you some time to get out if you need it.
Once again, camps being prioritized all over the map. There's only about 10 things to look at right now, so...
Yeah, the only camp that is available for either team is this bottom one here for Spooky Ghosts. They have their Bruiser available. Down level 10s, I would imagine that they may forego the objective, but it looks like they may be trying to stall it. And they do have the level 10 in time.
Yeah, they do indeed. And looks like this is not going to be Nidus Network. We've got Devouring Maw, and Shrink's going to come in on the backside. Gonna end up eating the Stormbolt Poly and gets completely blown up there, Rabid. The Devouring Maw only hitting one onto the Greymane. Stormbolt still coming in, gonna hit the Falstad. Here comes the Riptire. Gonna get to the backside. Unstoppable coming in, though, with that high five for Unicycle. Yay, and now it's Assistant Noob Manager trying to stall this thing out.
And they do have some pretty good tools to stall. All of the little Zagara minions are really helpful, and then just the long-range Baneling Qs as well.
I think Blackout is on the cap, and there is good enough zoning that Assistant Noob Manager actually does manage to grab that. And you almost have to wonder, Rabbit, how much value was grabbed by Assistant Noob Manager here in the mid versus up in the top lane to see which team was really most at benefit for that stall job from both squads there.
Yeah, I wasn't watching super carefully between all of the other things going on, as you mentioned, but both walls basically being down at this point, although a little bit of health left on that gate mid for Spooky Ghosts.
Here comes Unicycle Yay. It does actually manage to interrupt the charge, but wait a minute, maybe not. The charge comes out, hits 3, the Poly onto Diablo, but Unicycle makes his way on out. He is chunked down to about half health, though, as the Seed is spawning in the top left, once again in this very advantageous position for Spooky Ghosts.
He does have Devil's Due, though, which allows him to heal up pretty quickly once he gets a globe, as we saw there. He just grabbed one off the minion wave, and now he's basically back to full.
There are a lot of camps on this map, which means there are a lot of globes on this map. Also, gotta love to see the creep spread by Pink Blackout, just kind of granting vision all around the map. It'd be very hard to invade.
Helpful on this map with the larger area and just the many bushes, walls, the rotations that are happening back and forth over all of the objectives. The extra vision adds up.
Wow, what a charge and stun by Unicycle Yay up in the top. I gotta give a lot of credit to Blaze, though. That the bunker to dodge the Mighty Gust was pretty sweet, but still not enough to get him out of that problem. So that is going to be a second kill on the board here for Assistant Noob Manager, and still 10 seconds before Blaze is back here as the Seed is up. This is the Seed. Winner of this Seed will get the first map objective of the game.
They do have Junkrat, who's pretty good at stalling, but there is an engage going over onto the Greymane, so we'll see if this team fight ends up splitting them. Junkrat being rotated on by the Falstad, he's going to go down.
Yeah, Rift gets taken out there. Meanwhile, the charge in, Kaleidos trying to put some pressure on the back line to zone them a little bit there. Murden going to have to pop, but meanwhile, the Seed was captured by Assistant Noob Managers, and they are now going to be able to push in every single one of these lanes, and they're missing Junkrat for the first 10 seconds of this push, one of their main anti-siege abilities. Meanwhile, the charge in onto Little Wolf, but he's able to blink his way out of that one.
Yeah, but we see a pretty even push from Noob Management. We've got one hero top, one hero bottom, and then 3 in the mid. So I would expect to see all 3 forts at least get picked up here off this objective phase.
Yeah, mid lane still being pressured by these 3, but it has been cleared up here. But as you mentioned, bottom lane goes down. Top lane is sneezable.
Yep, 159 HP. That is half of a Falstad auto attack. No, full auto attack.
All of the auto attack, but there's the charge in into the tongue, and Brightwing not going to be able to blink their way out of that one. That's That was rough to watch. Poor little fairy dragon. And there's the last 2 forts.
Yeah, overall a pretty value objective phase here for under new management. And they're going to pick up this aggressive camp off of that Brightwing kill as well.
Wait, are they under new management now?
Assistant new management. I'm sorry.
I thought maybe we were under the district management now or something.
Maybe. Well,
maybe after they get the second win, they might get a promotion.
Right. That's probably how it works.
I mean, technically, I think you can change your name in the middle of the season, but that's not the point. Level 16 is nearly here for Assistant Noob Management. This next seed is going to be a big deal. Spooky Ghosts are still on seed point here to get their Garden Terrors, but I don't foresee them being interested in contesting this one down 16 and on Assistant Noob Manager's side of the map there.
Yeah, in addition to that, all of their lanes are really pushed out. So in order to get to it, they would have to essentially rotate through the very middle of the map without, showing their full rotation to the other team. So, like, they'll be content to just pick up the camp and soak some waves.
And Unicycle Yay gonna go ahead and taunt all of the Shamblers while Simeon grabs it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you need a go-to guide on how to get that objective done efficiently, that's it right there. Tank grabs the 4 little guys, and then your squishy goes up and just caps it. Easy peasy. Don't ask me whether or not I can pull off that move. I don't want to talk about it.
Do as I say, not as I do, right?
That's right. You know what they say, those who can't do, cast. Here comes the charge in, as now we're going to even get the Avatar out, but the Devouring Maw, they really don't want to let Muradin out of this. But big time Engage coming in on a pink blackout, going to force out the Mighty Gust. Meanwhile, Kaleidos going to have to Dark Flight his way out of that, as he jumped in maybe a little bit too far trying to get that Engage. And just like that, both teams going to have to walk away, but the Shamblers are up. And it looks like Spooky Ghosts don't want to let this one go for free on their side of the map with level 16 now. Simeon just barely going to get interrupted by Rift. Big damage coming down onto Uncle Ye. There's the charge after that polymorph. Diablo the first to go down, but there are so many members of Spooky Ghosts that are low. Assistant Noob Managers charging in, trying to get more kills. They already got 1 down, but for now it's a 1-for-1, but Diablo is back with his souls. And the seed will go over to Assistant Noob Managers.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to go over for Spooky Ghost there initially with that engage on the Diablo, but then Dahaka kind of 1v9'd his way into the Spooky Ghost team and picks up the Greymane in response.
Sometimes when you're a dinosaur, you just got to pick up the team, put them on your back, and just say, enough's enough. Speaking of which, Spooky Ghosts are going to go ahead and scout out this camp invade up here. Uncle Gay, waiting over the wall, is going to find Eric with a K, flips him and pushes him back before that bunker goes down, so he's pretty far. But look at the charge. Actually makes it all the way out into the lane. Big cleanse from Little Wolf, and they'll be able to make it out of that situation with still 5 alive for this next objective.
They did get the bunker, though, so that's a pretty high cooldown relative to when the objective's going to be up. So we'll see if that makes a difference here in the team fight.
And also positional advantage for Assistant Noob Manager. I mean, Spooky Ghosts, once again, a little behind in the rotation, having to push in. They do get the interrupt onto Simeon, so this seed is still in play, but Assistant Noob Manager is going to keep on capping this to try to keep the pressure on Spooky Ghosts, forcing them to play into this poke build that they've got here.
Dahaka's going in again. Muradin finds an engage though on the Lucio and the false dad. Drag on the Junkrat. Devouring Maw on 2. We'll see if they can follow up on that.
Oh, huge hammer from Nor. That's going to be a triple kill. They're chasing down Muradin. The Dwarf Toss not going to be enough to get him out of this one. Wait a minute. It is enough. I spoke too soon. I was calling it like I had the power of foresight. Clearly, I do not, Rabbit.
No, sometimes you just got to make a guess and go for it. I respect the try.
Yeah, yeah. I spend a lot of my time in Heroes of the Storm guessing, that's for sure. Meanwhile, up top, we've got the push with now level 20 for Assistant Noob Manager. And they've got this seed with 4 dead. And I think this might just be GG, Rabbit. This is the 3rd game in a row the Assistant Noob Manager has managed to win. They're going to stay undefeated here on Garden of Terror.
GG.
I feel like they were in the driver's seat most of that game. They really, they must really like this map, Rabbit. They seem to just kind of focus on the strategy that they're doing, and they just ride that train all the way to the core in most of these games.
Yeah, I was curious to see how the team fights would go for them, kind of given their comp. Whenever you draft macro heavy, there is kind of an opportunity cost with a lot of the globals. They're a little bit weaker in certain parts of their kit sometimes to make up for that advantage with the global ability. But it looked like their team fight was still pretty strong, or they knew how to at least win the team fights with the comp that they had. A lot of plays off of the Devouring Maw. The follow-up CC that they had was really well layered. And then again, I think the Dahaka had some great plays, either just zoning the other team away or, just causing a lot of disruption. And they didn't really have a good way to shut down the Dahaka, I think, once kind of some of those initial cooldowns have been used.
Yeah, anything standing out for you in these hero builds?
Overall, a lot of it looks pretty standard. I would say the Diablo build's a little interesting. He went into the full charge build, which isn't terribly common, but it can be pretty effective. And sort of depending on how you're playing the Diablo, sometimes that is one of the easier ways to stack souls, especially early game, is with the charge talent at level 4. So that one's standing out to me a little bit. Falstad, I think you can always make an argument for auto attack build, but I think Q build works fine as well. Just kind of more depends on the play style that you want.
Yeah, I think this game in particular that was paying off, especially on that last team fight with 2 in the Devouring Maw and going full Bile Drop build for Pink Blackout. They got 2 squishies in it, and between the Bile Drop and the hammer, they just completely exploded the minute they came out of that thing.
Yeah, for sure. There were definitely some big hammers in that last team fight. And Falstad had top damage as well, so really can't argue with the numbers.
Oh, whoops. I hit the wrong button. But yes, very good game there in game number 1. Congrats to Assistant Noob Manager. We're going to take a quick break while we get ready for game number 2. But I'll make sure to bring us back into the draft screen just in time to see all those ghosts dancing on the screen for game number 2. We'll be back in a moment.
Perfect.
welcome back everybody for game number 2. I apologize, we missed the ghosts. They jumped the gun on me a little bit there. All right,
disappointing, but hopefully we'll get game 3 and we'll have another shot.
We can certainly hope. So game number 2 here, we actually have Spooky Ghosts calling an audible here and taking map pick, which is not the normal style, but I respect it. They're taking us to Brax's Holdout. What does that mean, Rabbit?
When you pick map pick, you pick Braxis. I think that's a strategy that I've come across before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got a long memory, a long walk to go back to that one, but yes, it's true. Only 11 seasons or so.
Yeah, Braxis is interesting though because it's a map that there are a number of viable strategies on it. There's a pretty traditional way to play it, or the usual way that you play it in Storm League with 2 solo laners top lane dueling to the death, and if you're honorable, you just kind of leave them alone up there, and then you have the 4-mans clashing on the bottom lane, and eventually one team wins out and channels the beacons and gets a bunch of Zerg. But on top of that, there are some other strategies that you can use. Some of them are more rotation-based, so kind of bouncing between the 2 control points. Some of them focusing more on like a 2-3 laning strategy. So we'll see if maybe that's part of the reason that they wanted to go with this map, is to maybe use one of those less frequently employed strategies.
I was about to say, what a coincidence, Rabbit, because I happen to not be an honorable player, so I like to rotate up there and mess with the solo laners as much as I can.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean,
and Ektar apparently, Ektar apparently likes Braxis. I do too. Braxis has a special place in my heart as well, but in general, I do not feel like I have fun playing on this map. But I guess we'll see if both of these teams can put on a good show for us at the very least. We've got bands coming out hot already, though. Double tank band coming out for the side of Spooky Ghosts. They take out Johanna and a Newb. Meanwhile, the side of Spooky Ghosts not wanting to see a repeat performance on that Junkrat, and they also take out the Sylvanas, as they did from that game number 1. Meanwhile, Simeon going to go ahead and pick up the Anduin to get us started.
Yep, the last series we casted with them, Anduin was their support in both games, and we saw pretty effective use of the Light Bomb, either on a Genji or a Zeratul, so I would expect to see another similar Light Bomb delivery device drafted later on here for them.
We got Brightwing and Genji coming up for the first picks for Spooky Ghosts, and you want to talk about a hero that's good at messing with the solo lane balance, and that's definitely Brightwing, with that ability to TP top with that polymorph and really try and get a quick pick in the right situation. Meanwhile, Genji going to be the pickup for Rift here, and I really like Genji on this map. He's kind of a pseudo-global. He's able to just hop over one wall and then dash over the other, but he's also really good on the boss here. His deflect really lets you burn that thing down quickly.
Yep, Genji gets a lot of value on the map, and it's also a pretty good target for Light Bomb, as you can just Swiss strike into the middle of the enemy team and land that on kind of whoever you choose. So it's a good denial pick as well from that perspective.
Meanwhile, Varian and Jaina coming out for the side of assistant noob managers, and Varian banned out in the last game, so they wanted to make sure they got a hold of that tank before a third tank ban could come in for that chokehold. And Jaina, very good follow-up for Varian. You get that taunt out, and Jaina has just about the highest amount of DPS that one can put out in a single burst.
Yep, and it is a pretty good pairing. I would say, Varian does have kind of a long reach as a tank because of his dash, and so the Jaina player may need to be just kind of careful about their positioning to make sure they can follow up efficiently on those taunts, but usually you kind of know who your tank is looking for and can kind of read that in advance.
Yeah, Dudabaga, thank you for the follow. Also want to shout out Taco, El Taquito, for the raid and the follow earlier. I appreciate it, buddy. Tahaka banned out, and I gotta admit, I'm a little bit confused about Spooky Ghost's ban. Jaina already picked up by Pink Blackout, and they decided to ban out the Li Ming. Do you see a lot of double mage play on this map, Rabbit?
Not a lot. I mean, it's not impossible, but yeah, I would say it's certainly infrequent. That may have just been kind of a knee-jerk reaction or a tunnel vision ban in response to the variant, or maybe they have seen teams kind of go for all in on the blow up with Jaina Li Ming. I'm not sure.
All right. Well, either way, Garrosh and Gul'dan picked up a couple of orcs on the bad side of WoW's history. Meanwhile, on the other side, we've got Blaze and Tychus picked up. So Tychus banned out last game by assistant noob management, but they want him this time for the percentage-based damage. Do you like the Tychus pick here, Robin?
Yeah, Tychus is pretty good. It sort of gives them some kill pressure into the Garrosh with the Varian taunt, so Varian can kind of taunt whoever he likes as opposed to needing to find someone squishier. If Jaina doesn't have quite enough damage all by herself to finish off the tank.
All right, and then Eric with a K gonna go ahead and pick up the Leoric to go against Blaze up in that top lane. I'm assuming it's gonna be Blaze. I mean, I guess theoretically you could go Varian on the top if you don't want to own that top until like level 7.
Yeah, it's a possible strategy, but I think that's unlikely given the long sort of scaling time, at least relatively long for this map that Varian has if you're going for the Twin Blades build. And I would imagine at least it'll probably be easier to play for the bottom point with Varian versus the Blaze in terms of playing into the Garrosh and looking for securing their own kills reliably. But I'm not sure that Blaze has a favorable matchup into the Leoric, so it'll be interesting to see how that top lane matchup plays out for them.
All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to the chat because unfortunately I can't have Chrome up while we're running the game. So I'll see you guys in the chat after the game's over. But let's get on into game number 2. We'll see if Rabbit can maybe keep an eye on you guys. But on the left, Spooky Ghost. Yeah, on the left, Spooky Ghost. We've got Colitis going to be playing on the Gul'dan. We've got Rogoth on the Garrosh. Rift going to be playing the Genji. Little Wolf going to be on the Brightwing. And up top, we've got Eric with a K on the Leoric.
On the right, we have assistant noob managers, Shrinks on the Tychus, Unicycle Yay on the Varian, Simeon on the Anduin, Pink Blackout on the Jaina, and Nullius on the Blaze.
So right out of the gate, Spooky Ghost not going to honor the 1v1 in the top, but look at Nullius with the charge out. That's some quick reflexes right there, Rabbit.
Yep, he just noped out of there. Four heroes waiting for him was like, no, I'm not about that. I'm sorry.
Nah, bro, nah. But I like assistant noob management's response to that. They go ahead and charge into that bot tower and get about half health off of it right out the bat. But here comes the run in and ton of damage put down onto that Garrosh, trading for about half of Simeon's health there. And Unicycle Yay actually taking a whole lot of damage there. I'm going to keep making that uncle mistake all night, I imagine.
That's okay. I think we know who you're talking about. And I'm not sure if this was intentional or not, or just kind of collateral damage, but that assault on that bottom tower did get them the wall as well, which kind of opens up an escape route for someone if they get tossed by Garrosh in that direction.
Oh, nice. Yeah, if I was them in the interview and I had heard this conversation, I would have been totally talking about like how it was totally intentional.
Yeah, the only reason that makes me think it might not have been intentional is I would have done the top wall if I was picking one of the two. But that's a nice pickup there on the Varian. Genji swift striking in and getting the kill secure off of that.
Yeah, first blood for Spooky Ghost. So right away, I almost feel like Spooky Ghost's a little more comfortable in this one. But oh, look at the damage. Brightwing going to have to TP to get the healing out onto Garrosh. But it seems like this pick was not... this map pick is paying out for them here in the early game. They feel much more comfortable on this map this time around, Rabbit.
Yep. So far, solid rotations, and then just a good taking advantage of the Varian sort of weakness early game, not having his level 4 talent yet. You can kind of play much more aggressively without any sort of hard CC on their tank for the first couple levels.
Yeah, meanwhile, Genji rotating up to the top, putting some pressure on Blaze. After seeing that rotation, assistant noob managers did get up onto the point, at least, to stop the cap. But look at the toss in and the pull back out, but Variant's still going to fall as Rift charges in there and gets a second killing blow. 2-0 on the scoreboard, 2-0 for Rift this game.
Yeah, that Genji's, I think, a great complement to the Gul'dan damage. Gul'dan can just kind of throw the Qs and the big E damage out there, and whenever somebody gets low, Genji can kind of pop in and take advantage of that. We've seen it twice now so far.
Yeah, the one thing Gul'dan lacks outside of his massive damage is that kill pressure to get the finishing kills, and nobody does that better than Genji. I completely agree with you there. But here comes the Zerg in the bot lane. Spooky Ghosts winning a very decisive first map objective here, as they've got the full Zerg wave coming in. There is the toss once again onto Unicycle. Yay, big damage coming out, but he will be able to make his way out here. Having that taunt now, he's got all that extra health, Rabbit.
Yeah, it does make him more tanky, which certainly helps a lot if he gets thrown. Much more likely to survive. Level 10, if he goes the protected, that'll help as well, but that's a ways off at this point.
Yeah, there's the charge in and the toss, but again, a nice leap of faith by Anduin there. But headliner here, Rabbit. Bottom fort taken before the 4-minute mark here from that first objective.
Yeah, that's great value out of the objective, and definitely taking advantage of, I think, that comp differential. Again, Varian kind of has a hard time playing up front for these first couple levels, and it got them quite a bit of channel time on that.
Yeah, definitely struggling with that, you know, the weaker early game hero pick in the Varian, and definitely not out of this one yet by any means, Rabbit, but this is going to be an uphill climb for Assistant Noob Manager to even this score out as the game goes long.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they make any adjustments on the next objective phase, or if they play it kind of similarly to the initial one.
Both teams have gone ahead and rotated the 4-man and the solo lane, so 4-man is now up here in the top lane as camps have been picked up, all 4 of them. So only the boss sitting in mid, ready to go.
Yeah, we're seeing pretty good patience here from the side of assistant noob managers, just kind of waiting for the wave to push up. You know, they're not overextending and pushing closer towards Spooky Ghost Towers, where Garrosh can easily toss somebody and get that free damage as well.
Yeah, meanwhile, Eric with a K, though, coming in from behind on the aggressive rotation. Simeon in all kinds of trouble from Rift back here, but does a nice job of just walking away. Big damage now, actually, from Pink Blackout trying to chase down the Genji. But it almost got a couple of kills there. I like that rotation. That is going to give Assistant Noob Manager a little bit of a catch-up in XP with Nolius down the bot side, but he takes some big damage. He'll have to back out, and that's going to give Spooky Ghosts the positioning in the bot lane, at least for these beacons. We'll see if maybe they can cap the top to go with it. Unstoppable
Yep.
going to be popped there for Garrosh as the taunt came out. Meanwhile, Rift getting caught out by Nolius, who's on the rotation to the top, so he's going to have to cycle back around. Taunt goes out onto Garrosh. Big damage. Follow-up, and that is going to be the first kill of the game for Assistant Noob Manager, as they are able to power through all that armor that Garrosh had at the end there.
Yeah, now that Varian has the taunt, I think this is going to be a much different objective phase for the two teams. They'll have to kind of dance around each other a little bit more. Garrosh looking for the throws, Varian looking for a taunt. And between the Tychus, Jaina, I think they definitely do have enough to kill the Garrosh, kind of depending on what other tools get used to help him out. The Brightwing heal, the spell armor, etc. But I think there's kill pressure for either team, basically.
Here is the dash in. No taunt available there, but didn't need it. But Eric with the K has rotated up. The pull onto Shrinks, but it's not going to be enough. So they get the counter kill. 1 for 1 here in the top lane.
Yeah, both of the offlaners have had some great rotations this game, so it's good to see kind of Leoric and Blaze not just sitting around waiting for something to happen on their own, but looking for opportunities sort of in between control of that bottom point.
Yeah, level 10's in for both of these squads. I didn't get a chance to go over the heroics last game, so let's do it now. Blink Heal, Horrify, Warlord's Challenge, X-Strike, and Entomb for the side of Spooky Ghosts. Meanwhile, Assistant Newb Manager's grabbing the Bunker, Light Bomb, Water Elemental, Commandeer Odin, and we already saw the Taunt earlier, but it's going to go ahead and go with that Protection for Assistant Newb Managers.
Makes sense. Definitely adds to that survivability for the variant if he's the one who gets thrown.
And ideally, if you're going to have anybody thrown, it is variant, so that makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
There's the Groundbreaker trying to zone, but you can see Garrosh. Oh, by the way, rotation down. Genji going to be able to get the pick there, but you can see a little bit of trepidation here on the side of Spooky Ghost. They don't want to go too far in and get taunted and blown up, so they are playing a little more scared right now back in their base.
Well, that and, in between the Odin and two members of their team being bottom, I think they just knew they didn't quite have the resources available to look for that play, whereas now with the man advantage, they're able to look for a little bit more pressure.
Yeah, Simeon
ends up the Anduin there.
Yeah, Simeon ends up getting isolated there, and it will go down. And just like that, Spooky Ghosts have themselves another charge coming here. It's up to 80%, and Assistant Noob Manager's a little scared to get on the point. Oh, but the toss into place there, unfortunately. But Rift getting really low, gonna have to Swift Strike out. And down bot, the channel has been stopped for the moment as these two are going back and forth. You gotta wonder if the Genji's thinking about rotating down. Meanwhile, up top, Unicycle Yay getting on the point, trying to see if they can take it back. Big damage, X-Strike, but Rift not quite able to get the kill, but he gets taken out by the Tychus. But it is going to be Spooky Ghost getting the full cap as Nullius had to back off there from the bot lane.
Yeah, wasn't able to successfully pick up the kill, but did buy enough time for them to get that full Zerg wave out.
Meanwhile, Zerg marching in the top lane, and I do believe that this is likely going to end up as a second fort. Eric with a K is ready on the flank. It looks like he might be looking to go in and get a big entomb, but this is all five with Genji now in the bot lane. So I think actually I may have to stand corrected here as the fort will stand up with this full five-man defense.
Yeah, if Genji was still alive and had been pushing with them, I think it's definitely a fort for the side of Spooky Ghost, but without the Genji, it was definitely hard for Spooky Ghost to step up and look for that. The engage on the Anduin, though, Horrify pushing him into the fort, and he'll go down.
Whoops. Big damage there. Nice nice displacement. Eric with a K is on the rotation, but just barely not able to catch Shrinks in that Entomb. And just like that, it is Assistant Noob Management on the run, and Spooky Ghost looking to invade and grab themselves a bonus camp here in the bot lane.
Yeah, playing with the man advantage, no support for a couple more seconds for the side of Noob Management. Looks like Spooky Ghost is just going to push up and try to confirm this fort in the meantime.
Now with Blaze showing in the bot lane, this is an easy pickup for the side of Spooky Ghosts. They do still have the level 13 talent tier advantage, and they are still hanging around in Assistant Noob Manager as part of the map as they are going to look for a second camp denial here.
Yep, they're also together as 5, whereas Noob Management is kind of split a little bit more on their side. Blaze trying to soak up some of that XP to get that level 13.
Eric
We'll
with
see
a
if they want
K.
to look for a pick or what their plan is here now that they're on even talent tiers. Their lanes are really pushed out though, so it's hard for them to move around the map without giving vision to their team.
Nullius can actually be tossed away there. I really like that as Garrosh trying to zone. Do get a big fear there, but the camp actually going to be picked up by Assistant Noob Manager, and Light Bomb spent as Blaze was trying to retreat. A little bit of an oh, but look at the double chastise Garrosh actually into the fraying rift there, trying to get him further in. Meanwhile, here comes Eric with a K with the big walk. Does not have Entomb available, but can still slow members. Rift getting very low. The toss, though, going to get Tychus and Varian off of that. 2 more kills and a third there.
Ooh.
Rift living on the edge, though, but does manage to live there. That is a triple kill for Spooky Ghosts, and they are immediately going to go back and start this boss.
Yep. Objective beacons are up as well, so if they can get somebody on top lane, Genji's going to rotate out and pick that up. So they'll have boss plus likely most of the objective by the time Newb management is able to rotate their members back into the center of the map.
Nullius out on an island here. Going to be caught alone. The charge will stun a couple, and the bunker is going to stall for a little bit, but Eric with the K actually just putting up the Entomb to try to zone so they could maybe kill Nullius. Rift getting very low. He's going to have to back out. And right now, it's a retreat from Spooky Ghosts.
Yep, a lot of cooldowns used on either side. Garrosh still has his, though. He's kind of moving in, looking for that Warlord's challenge. There it is.
Yeah, X-Strike on the backside. Just like that, Jaina and Blaze both go down. Unicycle Ye is on the run. Shrinks is just going to have to try to rotate away to sacrifice. And just like that, assistant Newb managers running every which direction, all running for their lives. But look at the turn. Uncle Ye says, no thank you. Gets the protected and gets the counter kill onto Genji.
Genji flying a little too close to the sun on that one.
Can't blame him for that. You know, when you've gotten this many kills in a game, I might fly too close to the sun too.
True. I've done it myself.
Boss still pushing in that top lane, though. Gets the top keep for Spooky Ghosts. You know, down bot, the Zerg wave is on the way. Boss will be cleared out, but still a long road to level 16 for assistant Newb managers here. They do have 5 alive, but they've got to now deal with the Zerg wave and the members of Spooky Ghosts, 4 of which are in the bot lane, and Genji's on the way.
Big Entomb, big Horrify, but the pull is able to save the Tychus out of there.
Yeah, bunker goes
Tychus
down.
will have Odin as well here in about 5 seconds. So I'm not sure if they're able to get this keep. The Odin itself should be able to defend the rest of the Zerg if needed.
Yeah, big 3-man charge there from Nullius, kind of slowing down the advance of Spooky Ghost. Big damage, though. Another big charge. Nullius has gotten 2 different triple stuns, but big damage coming out onto Tychus. Pink Blackout able to get Rift off of that, so it's a 2 for 2 right now, but Unicycle Ye getting super low. Goes down to Eric with a K. He's charging in. They're trying to get more out of this rabbit, and they're seeing if they can secure this keep.
Yeah, I think 2 frontliners into a level 16 auto attack Leoric is a rough fight to win.
And Pink Blackout trying to defend, but the Entomb came out. Ice block to stall there. But now Spooky Ghost trying to finish this off with 3. Do you think they have enough here, Rabid?
I don't know about that. They're pretty low. You know, they'll get a little bit of damage on it, but they only have 1 catapult, and without a big Brightwing heal or something like that, the Tychus is pretty scary.
Yeah, so both keeps now down. Only the mid lane remains for assistant Newb managers. But charge in. Eric with a K getting taunted. Light bomb on the point, but it is going to be capped for Spooky Ghost at the very least as they look to counter-engage this. The Entomb comes out, catching Shrinks in it, but Leoric ends up being the one to pay as a big kill there for assistant Newb managers as they look to try to find a way back into this game.
Yeah, it does get them some XP and also gives them an opportunity to take an advantage fight here with Leoric down, but he will be back pretty soon, so unless they can secure a kill quickly here, there may be a turn coming shortly. Right
there, as Rift makes the turn, with or without the rest of the team. It does manage to get the kill onto Blaze. Unicycle Ye gets the Q out to finish him off, though. for the counter kill, and these teams got to be really careful. They're fighting right in the boss pit. Somehow everybody manages to not make the boss mad. But the bigger story here is for Assistant Newb Management. While this is all going on, their core is in deep trouble here, Rabbit.
Yep, the camp, along with all the catapults, are just raining damage on that, and without anybody to clear them, I think that's going to be the game.
Yeah. Game number 2, going over to Spooky Ghosts here on their map of choice, Brax's Holdout. And you know what that means, Rabbit. We're going to a game 3.
Told ya. More ghosts incoming.
Yeah, more ghosts. We always need more ghosts. That's exciting because this is my 5th match that we're casting this week, and this is the first one to go to a game 3. Starting to wonder if I was cursed or something.
Schedule your cast with Jason for an expedited evening.
Make it a short night with Jason. Oh. All right, so if you had to choose an MVP just from looking at the stat screen, not paying attention to the actual match, who's your MVP?
Just based on the stats?
Yes.
That's a tough call. I'm kind of between Brightwing and Genji. Brightwing healing numbers are pretty insane, especially compared to Anduin's that match. Genji with 11 kills. And then obviously, Gul'dan put out a ton of damage as well, almost 90,000. So if I can give it to the 3 of them, I guess I'd go with that. Leoric put in a lot of work, though, too. Held his own in his lane and put a lot of pressure on the Blaze. Basically, unless Leo had rotated out, I don't think Blaze had a lot of control over top or bottom in that match. And then Garrosh with some excellent throws and Warlord's challenges as well. So I think just really well played on the side of Spooky Ghosts. It seemed like they knew what they wanted coming into that map. Map pit makes sense given their comp, and they played it really well.
Now, wait a minute. Who threw up the prediction? Was that you, Akhtar? Because if it was, great idea. If we're doing a prediction, I'm going to say it was my idea. I don't care whose idea it actually was. It's mine. We're going to do a prediction. Who's going to win game number 3? Put your doubloons on the line. By the way, Rabbit, Blizzard says the MVP is clearly Anduin, so sorry, I don't know. I don't know what you're on about.
My bad.
The board never knows anything. It's fine. All right, I'll give you guys one quick look at these stats and this talent screen. We'll give you guys a chance to snapshot what these builds were for this game. Now we're gonna get ourselves ready to go for a game number 3. We'll be back hopefully with some spooky ghosts dancing in the chat right before the draft. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Game number 3 coming in just a minute. Looks like everybody's here. I've got everything set up and ready, but I don't get to show off this map screen often enough, so figured why not? We'll jump in a little early. Map number 3 going to be selected by the side of Assistant Noob Manager. And they got us to go into Towers of Doom. And it looks like we're all ready to go. Got the spooky ghosts dancing in the chat. And let's get on into game number 3 of our best of 3 series on right, Towers of Doom. Now, Rabbit, if ever you were going to have a finale, a game 3 or game 5, isn't this the map that you'd want to be playing it on?
Depends. We could go back to the Braxis meme from earlier, but generally speaking, yes.
Yeah, that's true. You'd rather have your trump card, I guess, if you were playing on it. But from an entertainment standpoint, this is definitely the pick.
Yep, Towers is usually a wild time, and there's a lot of drafts and a lot of strategies that work here too, so it should be fun.
Well, you know, people won't get to do the entire draft to get their channel points in to guess, but you get to see at least a couple of draft picks, I think. So that's sufficient. Of course, with the delay, who knows? But either way, yeah, I definitely think this is the best map to finish a series. I definitely agree. With Mongoose in the chat. Hey, Mongoose, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for tuning in. And Zagara going to be banned out here by Spooky Ghost. I don't want to see a repeat performance of that hero from way back in Game 1.
Yep, and I believe the other series that we watched, Assistant Noob Managers, they played Towers of Doom, and on that map they did draft the Zagara, so it may be a callback to that as well.
However, Sylvanas has been banned out in both of these first games, but she's going to make an appearance here as the first pick by Assistant Noob Management.
Yeah, Sylvanas is always a solid first pick. She's a great assassin, very versatile, has a number of viable builds, doesn't really have any obvious hard counters, empowers kind of small advantages throughout the game, and just is all around pretty safe pick to kind of base a draft around.
Meanwhile, Nubarak and Gul'dan coming out here. So we're going to see a repeat performance from Gul'dan. Very strong in that game number 2. So no surprise to see him here. And a Nubarak. And any particular reason you think that Spooky Ghost might have picked a Nubarak so early here?
It depends on a few things. I think, part of it was at game 1 that there was sort of some tank bans being traded back and forth, so it may just be kind of pick priority. Part of it may just be looking for more of like a dive comp again, so if they're trying to get their hands on the Genji a second time, pairs pretty well with the Anubarak. And then Cocoon in general is just really strong, although the counter to that, Li Ming, has also been picked up by Noob Management.
Yeah, I always call the Li Ming and Nubarak matchup kind of a little bit of a tit for tat. Nubarak's got the beetles and the summons to get in the way of most of Li Ming's abilities, but Li Ming, of course, does have the disintegrate option, which can essentially eliminate Nubarak's best heroic in the Cocoon. Which means, of course, the only solution to that is to go that other ult whose name I don't even remember.
You could also just Cocoon the Li Ming. But...
Oh, there you go. That is probably better than Carrion Swarm. I did remember it. It was back there somewhere. It took a while for the little J's to go through the files for that.
Swarm. I think Carrion
Swarm.
Oh!
That's right. See? Yeah. Pulled the wrong file.
You're in the neighborhood. Thanks.
Varian going to be banned out, and the Genji on the other side. So you mentioned it, the dive. Definitely something they weren't wanting to deal with from Rift again. But Eric with a K going to grab the Urel. I still say that nobody ever picks that hero every time I see her, but here she is again. And then Anduin Gonna
You're just
be.
gonna have to campaign more on that, I guess.
I know. I'm campaigning against it. Unicycle, yeah, gonna grab the Garrosh to pair with the Lucio. A potent combo with that ability to speed up the Garrosh into the throws. It's always scary to see that on the other side.
Yep, any hero that can give Garrosh move speed is a welcome addition to a Garrosh comp. So Lucio is a common pairing. I think that's a good pickup there. Curious to see what they'll want here, though, if they want something aggressive for the light bomb engages. And it's the Zeratul.
Yeah, so Zeratul banned out game number 1. I believe actually by Spooky Ghosts, if I remember correctly. But they're going to go ahead and pick it up themselves this time around and see if they can maybe get back to that ooey gooey center of assistant noob management's team. If they can get onto the Lucio, the Liming, or the Sylvanas, they might have a fun game here, Rabid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely some viable Zeratul targets. Even the Leoric, kind of depending on how the team fight's going. It will also kind of depend on how the Cocoon is utilized. There's a lot of unstoppables on the side of noob management. Leoric and Garrosh both have their own. Lucio, depending on his level 10, could give that to any number of them. Sylvanas has one in her base kit, so it may be a little bit tricky finding someone to reliably use the Cocoon on. And then if anyone besides Liming does get Cocoon, she can burst them out with the Disintegrate as well.
I guess you came up with the answer earlier. The only answer, Cocoon the Liming, but either way, let's get in here for game number 3 of this best of 3 series. We've got on the left Spooky Ghosts. We've got Rift on the Zeratul. Rogoth going to be playing the Anubarak. Eric with a K on the Urel. Little Wolf on the Anduin. And Kaleidos going to be on the Gul'dan.
All right, and for assistant noob managers, we have Pink Blackout on the Li Ming, Nor on the Sylvanas, Simeon on Lucio, Unicycle Ye on the Garrosh, and Nullius on the Leoric.
All right. Well, in we go for game number 3, Towers of Doom. Most of the time we see these teams focusing mostly on the bot lane, and I like Spooky Ghost's kind of scouting out the Sylvanas cheese a little bit, putting 3 down here in the bottom lane to start. Rift going to go ahead and start the game in the mid lane, and Eric with a K actually getting a start on the double soak here by going straight to the top.
Yep, a little bit of lactose intolerance. We're not about the Sylvanas tower cheese. Zeratul, interesting hero on this map because obviously being stealth, it's a little bit harder to track his rotations. So sometimes you'll see him popping up maybe to pressure the Leoric as he's rotating to do the double soak, or as we see here, kind of preventing some of the assistance from the assistant new managers, backline assassins from helping Leoric. But early game, Zeratul, it's also a little bit challenging. He doesn't have all of the fancy tools and the blinks and jukes. So he'll need to stack up his globe quest there at level 1 before he has some increased mobility.
Meanwhile, the members of Spooky Ghosts caught in a little bit far, and they're trying to get everybody out, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. Little Wolf going to just barely make it out, but Gul'dan not so lucky, as First Blood going to go over to the side of assistant noob management.
Yeah, without the Zeratul, I think they were a little bit too far up in the lane, and assistant noob managers may be correctly identifying that Zeratul being kind of more of a scaling later game hero, they have kind of this advantage earlier on, sort of the inverse of their variant comp from last game.
Meanwhile, up top, we've got a fight over the top shrine. Nullius going to be knocked off at just long enough. Meanwhile, Rift is coming in, but Nullius has that Wraith Walk and will make his way out.
Yep, so it looks like Spooky Ghosts are kind of opting for the Zeratul to pressure the off lanes and are sacrificing a little bit of their strength in the bottom lane, just trying to hold that for now and not drop too much in terms of advantage on that lane. Noob management has responded by sending the Sylvanas up top to kind of help the Leoric. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that plays out for them in terms of the ability to pick up their own camp. Looks like they are able to take that safely, though.
Yeah, they grabbed the camp, and now we'll be trying to walk it up the bot lane. But meanwhile, Spooky Ghosts have gotten a good amount of damage. They've gotten the gate and nearly all of that top tower in the bot lane. But we do have our first altar spawning here. The first and fifth altars are always those triple spawns. So we see that here. And immediately both teams capping theirs on the top side of each respective lane. And it looks like Spooky Ghosts actually going to choose not to contest for that third one.
Yep, again, they're a bit split. Zeratul kind of holding the middle of the map, making sure Urel could channel uninterrupted, and so they're in a little bit of a disadvantage here, 3v4 in the bot lane.
Yeah, more of a 1-1-3 strategy so far for Spooky Ghosts. It seems like they're mostly keeping Rift out here in the mid lane. Now he's gonna walk up and try to put a little pressure onto Nor, but actually he's gonna end up paying with it for his life as a big rotation coming up from assistant Newb manager. And in the words of Terry Crews, that's what you get for being stealth, man.
Yeah, that was a great rotation from assistant Newb managers. You know, with kind of the 3 heroes bot lane for Spooky Ghost, they were pressured away by the Garrosh and some of the damage that they had taken from the toss, and so they weren't tracking vision of where the rest of assistant Newb managers were at, which kind of surprised that Zeratul and led to that pickup so they could push the front wall of mid lane for a bit of damage, getting both towers down.
And for the record, anyone who's wondering where Terry Crews said that, I would encourage you to Google Terry Crews Celebra D&D. You will not be disappointed. Meanwhile, camp being picked up here for Spooky Ghosts.
Yep, and this will be an even talent tier fight for this objective. It'll be interesting to see if Spooky Ghost opts to give this one as well, or if they choose to fight for it. They definitely have the better positioning for it, kind of given that for the bot channel at least, and then in middle here, relatively well controlled by Newb managers.
Yeah, but Rift kind of dancing around the backside, getting Simeon pretty low. Eric with the K gonna jump in and try to do a little chasing, but actually, yeah, Colitis is capping in the backside, and nobody's gonna get there in time to interrupt. So just like that, Spooky Ghosts get the double cap in this objective phase.
Yep, the amount of damage Zeratul was able to kind of front load on that Lucio gave him a big advantage in that skirmish around the objective point and kind of forced them to retreat just enough to be able to cap that with the Gul'dan.
Zeratul also finding the Li Ming, getting the kill, but now they are looking to turn, and Unicycle Ye does end up going down, and just like that, a 1-for-1 exchange, 2-for-2 on the kill counters, but big credit to Spooky Ghosts for flipping the script on the scoreboard and getting themselves level 10. Now looking to go in to finish off this bottom bell tower.
Yep, and they're being very disciplined about dumping their damage into the building. They're not really hitting the heroes and pulling that tower aggro, giving a Newb some chance to soak it here as well once the wave dies.
Alright, so level 10's in for Spooky Ghosts. They picked up the Light Bomb along with the Horrify, Cocoon, Might of the Nerazim, and the Ardent Defender. Meanwhile, for Assistant Newb Management, they have picked up the High Five, Warlord's Challenge, Disintegrate, Wailing Arrow, and the Entomb.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the Light Bomb and Horrify interaction, if there will be any sort of anti-synergy there. Usually when you use the Light Bomb, you want people to kind of stay put so you can dump your damage on them, and the Horrify sort of splits that. So we'll see how those two heroics in particular interact.
Maybe Light Bomb first, and then you Horrify to split them all up after.
Yeah, I think that's probably the optimal usage. I'm just sort of curious as to how they layer that in the team fights, or if there's a particular way that they want to set that up.
This is an interesting call from Spooky Ghosts. We're going to stay out in lane and just look to macro here.
Yep, I'm just looking for an advantage on the other lanes of the map. Strong push here going into the top lane right now.
Yeah.
That also gives Newb management the opportunity to shove bottom pretty hard. Ooh, but the Unstoppable on that Horrify, combined with the follow-up damage from the rest of Noob managers, gets them 2 kills, and maybe this Gul'dan as well. There he goes.
Look at Pink Blackout just popping off there. Turns out Disintegrate is not just an anti-cocoon tool after all. Using it to just tickle down Gul'dan after those first couple of kills. And just like that, it's a triple in the bot lane. And you mentioned it. Some advantage in pushing in the mid and especially in the top. But the priority lane on this map typically is thought of as that bottom bell tower because both of these camps spawn into it. And just like that, Assistant Noob Manager's got the bottom bell tower.
Yep, along with the camp pickup off the back of that, so they'll have a little bit of added pressure there, or at least something to consider for Spooky Ghost with those sappers pushing in a little bit here as well. Big Li Ming combo though, and Gul'dan goes down again.
Yeah, Sylv getting credit for the kill there, but I'm going to have to take your word for it, Rabbit. I was focused on one of the other lanes at the time, but I got there just in time for the death.
That's right.
Eric with a K running back up to the top lane. Them missing a Gul'dan. I don't think they're going to look to contest this one either. Spooky Ghost trying to be fairly patient here in the early game. They are down by about a level, though, and now with that cap, we're going to see Assistant Noob Manager getting 5 off the board and get an 8-point lead, but big fear coming out to zone out Garrosh. The light bomb coming in onto Nolius. Simeon thrown back, and Nolius is able to... it's Nolius actually falling there, as Garrosh also falls after. They threw in the Anubarak, but he was able to burrow charge out. And just like that, Spooky Ghost getting back into the game with a 2-for-0 exchange.
Yeah, these team fights have been pretty wild. Between the Anubarak, the Zeratul, the Garrosh toss, the Urel jumps, there's just heroes ping-ponging all over.
Heroes everywhere.
Like, I'm pretty sure Anduin at one point was in the middle of Noob Manager's team, and I don't think that was any fault of his own. It's just all of the heroes had moved in such a way that his front line was now behind him, and Zeratul was in the other team's back line, so it was just interesting how that team fight unfolded.
And off of that, Spooky Ghost is going to be able to tap both bottom bell towers. They had that bottom bell tower on the right pretty low, so as soon as they burned down and took back their own bell tower in the bot lane, they were able to walk across. Meanwhile, this top one is sneezable, so I imagine at some point Urel might try to come over here and sneeze on it just in time for this triple altar spawn. And if Spooky Ghost had written it up like this, I gotta give them a lot of credit, because triple altar spawn and you've got yourself 5 going on 6 of these bell towers under your control.
Yeah, big rotation though up on the Urel and the Zeratul. We'll see if they can both get out. Zera's running but can't quite make it. Anduin's going to be able to pick up the bot channel, but I'm assuming that means Noob Managers will pick up both of the top ones unless there's a way for Spooky Ghost to stall that.
Yeah, and they will convert that top bell tower, but not before both of the altars are capped. So that is still 6 points to 5 on that exchange. Gotta give a lot of credit to Spooky Ghost, though. They now have utter map control with all but one of these bell towers here in the mid. But those kills going to give Assistant Noob Management time to try to get back here. But the big Horrify onto Anduin into the light bomb. And, what do I know, Rabid? Why not? We'll use it in the other order. It worked well for him there.
Oh, and the return kill on the Li Ming as well.
Yeah, the toss almost enough to get a Nubarak, but now they're going to have to back up, and that's not far enough to back up, unfortunately, for Garrosh. Kaleidos going deep in there, trying to harass that Garrosh as he's trying to back, but that's another 2 kills. Meanwhile, up top, Rift going to end up getting the kill onto the Leoric as he defends that top bell tower. And Spooky Ghosts are going for a 6 cap here in the mid.
Yeah, they're not far from it, and they have a pretty good man advantage for at least the next 10 seconds. So I would expect to see them convert this with the work of Anubarak, soaking the tower shots as best they can. But New managers are not going to let him take it for free, it looks like.
Yeah, that was Burrow Charge out, but Leap of Faith comes down, and that is the 6 cap. Top is almost dead, so it looks like that is where Pink Blackout and the assistant noob managers are going. So they are going to be able to cap that back to stop the bombardment. But now this double altar spawn is up, so there's a lot of points still on the line here. Simeon charging in, trying to give the heals the toss back onto Colitis, but Horrify is going to come out to at least stall this. Light Bomb not quite in time as the Cocoon trying to stall, but Little Wolf is going to end up going down. And just like that, swinging back, the assistant noob managers getting a double kill and are going to end up being able to cap, at least on the right side. But meanwhile, 4 members are going to work on this boss, while Sylvanas looks to get back mid.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't matter your advantage so much sometimes with those aggressive channels, just because of the short distance to the core, I guess, of the other team. So Garrosh being able to get in there kind of caused enough disruption so that they couldn't channel it. Spooky Ghosts weren't quite able to capitalize on that before the entirety of new managers was back up and ready to fight again.
Yeah, so right now 12-8 as assistant noob management is going to go ahead and cap the final of their 3 bell towers that had been converted. And just like that, they have level 20, and suddenly they find themselves in the driver's seat here on Towers of Doom, Rabbit.
Yeah, this is how Towers of Doom goes. You all that matters is the scoreboard at the top of the screen, and with the building advantage equalized, both teams are in a pretty good spot here, soon to both have level 20 as well.
Yeah, I like Unicycle. Yeah, he was on his bike, and he was riding, looking for something there. But Nubarak laid out some spikes and popped his tire. I'm just going to keep going with that analogy. Eric with the K having to run out. Rift being caught on the backside, though. Trying to be sneaky, but buried alive. Gonna come out, and the quick pop there from Pink Blackout. And now Spooky Ghosts are on the run, but you can't run from a charging Simeon, who is going to go ahead and cap on the bot side. So that's going to be 4 shots going over, and that's going to leave only 4 shots left on the core for the side of Spooky Ghosts, as on the bot side, assistant noob management pushing in, trying to get this bottom bell tower converted once again.
Yeah, I think given that, all 5 of them are down here, Zeratul down for another 30 seconds, they maybe could have made a play to take this keep or fort first and then tried to channel, but I don't know that I guess we'll have to see if it makes a difference in the end. 4 versus 3 points.
And meanwhile, Gul'dan
getting caught out.
Yeah, Gul'dan getting picked off. That's a 60-second death timer. And the double altars are going to be coming up in the top lane, but Yrel doing a nice job of working on this top bell tower, but if she wants to finish it, she's going to have to hurry. I don't know, actually. Mid lane is the focus for assistant noob manager. So they might have been able to get a pick there, but instead they're choosing to just take map control with these bell towers.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. It can be hard to track Yrel down, especially if she's watching the rotations and you're spending time and resources tracking her down. It's fewer buildings that you're going to have in your possession.
Dominable is popped there, trying to close the gap, but in the mid, Spooky Ghost going to try to take this back, but it looks like assistant noob management is rotating up to try to maybe defend this. Nolius maybe looking for an entomb here, stepping forward, gets stunned a couple of times here.
Leoric does have Entomb back up, so I think Zeratul's got to keep that in mind at least when he's kind of running at him like that. Another Entomb play definitely makes his life difficult, and there he is again caught inside the Entomb, but there isn't follow-up damage to take advantage of it.
Pink Blackout trying to cap. This is game, and Pink Blackout gets the cap, now getting the resets just for fun, but that is it. GG and assistant noob managers get the win here in Game 3 on a back and forth Towers of Doom.
Well done.
Sometimes it's just that sneaky back cap, you know? You just gotta. They knew what they had to do, and they were willing to give the house to zone and get that last cap, and there you go.
Yep. I'm not sure if Spooky Ghost just didn't have the positioning for it, or maybe weren't tracking the number of shots that were coming in, or it just seemed like they might have realized a little bit too late in terms of when they needed to respond to that.
Yeah, it's still a long walk to have to go through 4 members of the enemy team as they're diving, try to get that interrupt. That can be a tough time.
Well, Zeratul got the mobility and should be able to do it if he needs to, especially if Li Ming is the one who's capping. So I wasn't tracking kind of what was going on with him in like the early stages of the team fight, but initially he was caught by the Leo inside the Entomb as well. So if he had maybe been kind of more proactively looking towards the other side of the map, maybe he wouldn't have been there and would have the opportunity to stall. But yeah, beyond that, Gul'dan, Anduin, they have to kind of wade through the rest of the enemy team to get to that point.
All right, well, why don't we go ahead and head on into one of the lobbies here, see if we can get ourselves an interview. All right, looks like we're going to have Nolius hopping in with us, and there he is.
Oof.
Welcome, welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That
was a tight one.
Yeah, I got to get your point up on the board here, but yeah, definitely a back and forth. And I had a feeling at the beginning of this one. You guys were on a roll from your victory on Thursday night, and Spooky Ghosts, one of our more experienced teams here at NGS. Tell us a little bit about what you were anticipating this match might be like.
So I definitely thought it was going to be a really close one. I was actually on Spooky Ghosts a couple seasons ago, and so I know them pretty well. They've had a couple new players in, but great group of guys. It was a lot of fun. I was sweating bullets the last one. So we expected a tough battle, and they gave us a great match.
Rabbit, do you have any questions?
Yeah. In the last game, you had kind of some big playmaking moments with that Entomb, particularly late game with the silence on the Zeratul.
Yeah, that's the old adage. It's better to be lucky than good. I was throwing out some Entombs, and that one caught the Zeratul right at the end, and so that was big because that kind of gave us the opportunity to get that last cap and then the fort.
I say that all the time.
Yep. That's how I like to play Leoric. No one knows what I'm going to do. Throw out Entombs anytime.
That's fair. Kind of keep them guessing.
That's right. And my teammates.
With Leo, it looks like you opted into the auto attack build this last game. When you play him in general, is that typically the one that you prefer, or do you kind of flex between some of his other builds as well, particularly like the 13 to 16 talents?
So I typically do auto attack on this map just because I think it gets better value. But I mean, if there are chunky heroes, I'll go Drain. I find that getting damage reduction is probably less valuable on this map. I'm not sure if that's the meta build. I think it was for a time, but I'm just not with my 4-man for so long that I just don't usually go that build.
That's fair. It wasn't supposed to be a leading question like you had done something wrong and I was trying to get you.
Oh, no.
I usually go auto attack build myself when I play him because I think it's usually the one with the most consistent value, which I think might have been kind of what you were saying. So
yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah, I was also curious too, just kind of like team mentality wise between like game number 2 and game number 3. How are you guys feeling kind of after that Braxis holdout game? Because that seemed to definitely be kind of a shift in terms of the aggression and how things were sort of rolling for you guys game 1.
Yeah, I mean, we had some lineup changes, and then I think we had some hero choices, which we definitely regretted after the fact. But that's such a weird map. It feels like if you get behind a little bit at the beginning, and then you lose a structure, and then suddenly everything is more dangerous, and it kind of snowballs. And they played that map really well too. Their garage seemed to be everywhere, and they had great follow up. And I feel like Eric's spooky hands were magnetized to my blaze. I couldn't miss a single one. So
Yeah, it's a rough matchup.
so it was yeah, it was rough. And then, you know, obviously they're so experienced. So once you fall behind on that map, it's really hard to catch up. We had to do something crazy, and I think we tried to do something crazy a couple times, and it worked out. But then it was, you know, after all, a crazy move, and so it didn't work out. And so we just, you know,
That's fair. So kind of
we ended the match,
responding to the map pick.
yeah, sooner for everybody. Yeah.
With that map, you know, you mentioned it's kind of snowbally, and that's one of the things I think I dislike about it the most. But it is definitely a feature of the map, and so a lot of teams tend to kind of invest heavy in the early game to try to get that early advantage and snowball a lead off of that. Do you think having the Varian sort of being, you know, an overgrown lane minion for the first couple of levels, does he like play into that a little bit, or do you think that his level 4 comes online soon enough to kind of mitigate that risk and be able to like stay in the game long enough to get a good first objective?
You know, it's funny you say that. I mean, I think obviously Varian is weak until 4, but then Varian is usually strong from 4 to 10. I just think that Garrosh is strong until 10, and so
Okay.
like the benefit we expected to get from Varian really didn't materialize. And then they had rotations up. You know, they had the Genji who was mobile, and I was already not doing well top lane, and then you put like a Genji and him able to zip back and forth. And then I think our 4-man, you know, Rogoth plays a great Garrosh, and so that was rough.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, kind of the advantage you would expect to get from him is sort of mitigated by Garrosh's own strength.
Yeah, and on that map, there's like weird geography that kind of works against you too. The tosses can sometimes be even more devastating. Our healer Simeon, you know, he had pulls, but he only has a pull on a much longer cooldown, so it was.
Sure, that was actually one of the things that I commented on during the match was with like your initial response to how they had rotated, like at the very beginning of the game, you went and attacked their bottom wall. And so I was just curious if you had like purposely destroyed the wall in response to the Garrosh pick and like trying to give somebody a way out, or if that was just sort of collateral damage from attacking the tower.
That is a great question. To be honest, I was just screaming for top. I didn't know what they were doing bottom. Yeah. I didn't know what they were doing bottom. But I mean, they're, you know, obviously my teammates are very opportunistic too, so I'm sure they sniffed it out.
That's fair. Probably not the best question for the solo laner, but that was an interesting thing that I hadn't necessarily seen before. So I was just curious if that was
yeah, that is actually showing a lot of foresight. Yeah, no, that's actually really smart to avoid the guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are now not undefeated necessarily, but you've won your first 2 matches here in week number 1, and I imagine you guys got to be feeling pretty good about your season so far. But is there anything in particular that anybody in particular look forward to play against, or just in general, how are you feeling with this start?
So, speaking for me only, I feel like B West is my ideal division. It feels like all my friends and the people I've always played against are all in this division. So everyone from Clouded Mines, Clouded Mines Daybreak, CCS, Spooky Ghosts, of course, and then there's like, you know, mainstays. I'm sure I'm forgetting teams, but mainstays in B West that we've played against in the past. And so I'm actually really thrilled with the division. And so, yeah, it seems like it's a, I've forgotten your question, but it seems like it's a great division, and I was actually pretty happy when we ended up here, because it's just
Nice.
playing against former friends and former teammates, or current friends and former teammates.
Yeah, that's always fun when you get a chance to have that familiarity from season to season, and
Oh, and
get
Roll in Esports too, yeah.
sure. My good old buddy Mongoose on that team, of course, now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, unless Rabbit has any more questions for you, maybe.
I'm sure I could keep asking questions, but you probably want to go to bed or celebrate with the rest of your team. So no other burning ones at this time.
Well, fair enough. Then we're gonna definitely thank you for coming in and spending a little bit of extra time with us. But before I let you go, if you'd have any shout outs you'd like to make, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So thanks to you, Jason and Rabid, for casting. Super appreciated. Makes everything so much fun. Because we won, I will be watching your replays many times. Shout out to Spooky Ghosts from your former Spooky Clap, and shout out to my teammates. Here's to a great start to hopefully a great season. So thanks again.
All right. Congratulations on the big win, and thanks again for the interview. Have a good night.
Great. Thanks again, guys. Bye.
Bye. Alrighty, well that is going to do it for us tonight. Thanks again, Rabid, for hopping in with me. This has been fun this first week. Got some more casts coming up, so I'm hoping you can join me again. But yeah, it's been a good time, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, and yeah, look forward to doing more of them.
All right, well we're going to find somebody to go ahead and toss us over to in a raid. Looks like we've got Alicia Destiny playing in some Storm League games, so we're going to send it over there. So everybody stick around and say hi as we send the raid over, give some NGS hospitality to another hot streamer. But thanks again, everybody, for coming out and watching. Congratulations again to Assistant Newb Management for winning an awesome series tonight here in Division B West. And for the Nexus Gaming Series, I am Jay Zahn, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.